What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone, and this time we got the one and only Marty Friedman. Thank you so much for your time today, man. Great to have you here.
Nice to meet you, Alex.
Yeah, it's so great to be able to talk to you. Again, we're still mesmerized from that amazing performance that happened at St. Vitus. And it always seems like, you're one of the greats when it comes to one-of-a-kind live show experiences, because nothing will top that St. Vitus show. But we got this amazing live stream performance scheduled to come out in 2021, starting the new year off on a great note. What can we be expecting, collaborating with this artist and bringing in some great motion graphics into it?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's basically going to be the same kind of energy as that St. Vitus show, but without the people. Like, the people at that show in New York were completely out of their minds. And to do a show like that for us without any people in the audience, we're going to have to pull out other types of weapons because we can't be playing off energy of people that aren't there. So, I don't know how it is in America. I'm sure it's probably similar, but the art of live streaming has just gone through the roof in really interesting, futuristic ways. And we've teamed up with the biggest company in Japan that does these live stream concerts worldwide. And on top of that, I've actually partnered up with a designer, a stage designer, a lighting designer, someone who does this type of thing for concerts, but now in a streaming form. And it's extremely experimental and modern and hard to explain, but to make it kind of make a little explanation of it is, we'll be playing a concert. Band-wise, it's going to be similar to what you saw in St. Vitus. We're playing the music live. But the venue it's not a music venue. It's like a huge box where it's 360 degrees of LED. Now, what you might see in a normal concert is you'll see LED screens behind the stage or on the side of the stage. But this building that's made specifically for this concert, it's like a set. The ceilings, the floors, the sides, the entire place is engulfed with LEDs, and the graphic artist that I've paired up for this has made each song its own separate world. And so it's kind of a new way to enjoy a live concert. And from what I saw in the pre-production information that they've showed me, it's just like really insane. And I just hope that we can play normally with it, because it's going to be so disconcerting to play that way. But and also we're going to be in different positions than the normal band is lined up, three guys in front of the drummer. But we're going to be spread out in different configurations to kind of accentuate the strangeness of the worlds of each particular song. It's just really something else I couldn't be more excited about.
It sounds really cool. When I was reading about what to expect on this live stream, I was an art history major in college, and we studied a lot on like modern Japanese artists. And I thought maybe at first, when I saw that you were collaborating with like an artist for this performance, I thought maybe you were collaborating with like Yayoi Kusama or something like that, who's a famous installation artist. Was this like always a vision that maybe you had even before like the whole lockdown and everything like that?
Yes, and you really know your stuff. Actually, this, I don't know how he likes to go. Graphic artist is a kind of a different territory, but he designs a lot of different things. He works with like dance troupes, as well as like concert staging and all kinds of really artistic things. And I had actually met him when I played at the Saitama Super Arena with a group called Momoito Clover, where he put together this show with a 100-piece choir and having me come up from under the stage playing a guitar, rising as if I'm coming from the depths of hell into reality. And it was just such an unbelievable production. I'm like, I would really want to work with this guy on my own stuff sometime. And we were going to work on a completely unrelated project just before COVID hit, just before, and then so that went away, but we kind of got reconnected because that project almost happened, and now the streaming live concert happened. So I decided to. His name is Nobuyuki Hanafusa, by the way, and I really just wanted to work with them on something ever since that choir business, ever since that first time we worked together. And now I'm going to do a full show, worldwide show. Is really a perfect opportunity. And the stuff that he's drawn up for what's going to be actually projected on these LED screens is just, it's going to be a trip to play in this type of stuff. And I'm just going to have to close my eyes when I play, because I'm sure that if I start looking at what's around me, it's going to be like an acid trip and probably hard to concentrate.
I know. I was like debating, like, for when I attend this show, if like maybe I should bring like my virtual reality goggles with it. That would be amazing.
That would be a thing to do. It's really going to be a trip.
Yeah, and Japan, when it comes to the arts, like I was watching a lot of documentaries and stories and interviews that you've done, living in Japan and getting immersed in the culture. And I mean, with music and visual art, you have revolutionary visual artists such as Yayoi Kusama, but then you also have revolutionary bands in the world of rock such as Bizu. It almost seems like Japan really is able to open up many forms of creativity, and really doesn't just create art history, but really helps create the future as well.
That's an interesting point. I have to agree. Of course, everywhere, every single country in the world has its own interpretations. But one thing that I can definitely say about Japan is there's really no rules at the beginning stage. I mean, they will throw anything up. They will throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And, there's a lot of times that things fail, but not for lack of trying something unusual.
Yeah.
And there's not really genres. It's kind of a genreless artistic society. So if you listen to what's on the charts, it's not all one type of music. It's very mixed up stuff. You might have something that's brutal metal, but at the very top of the charts, and then the next song right under it is some kind of very idolish dance music. And it's just a room for everything. And even fans of one genre might be complete fans of another genre. So there's not really any walls between the genres like how I grew up in America. So I like that as someone who creates music, because it allows me not to think, well, it's got to be this much metal, or it's got to be this much pop, or it's got to be this or that. I can pretty much just try what I'm feeling and either succeed or fail with it without, it's a sellout, or this is not right, or there's just no genre expectations, which is good for me.
And I heard that like every city in Japan is very different too. Like, Tokyo is very different from Kobe, and that's very different from Kokura and so many other phenomenal cities in Japan. It almost seems like when you go to a different city in Japan, it's almost like you're in a different culture in a way.
It's kind of true. I mean, to some extent in America, that's also true. Like, you're in New York and LA couldn't be any more different. But I think what accentuates that even more so in Japan is the fact that the country is so small. And when you go a short distance, say from Tokyo to Osaka, not only is the culture kind of different, but the language is almost completely different. Wow. And everywhere you go, there's different mannerisms, there's different idioms, the way people speak is totally different, the rhythm of the speaking is different, even the sense of humor is different between these cities, and the country is very small. So I think it's a magnified version of what you see in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of going back to this live show, because this is, a once in a lifetime sort of, live stream experience, a once in a lifetime, one of a kind Marty Friedman show. Are we going to get maybe like a different type of set list as well? Are we going to, promote a lot of stuff from Tokyo Jukebox 3? Are we going to get some stuff from Future Addict or Loudspeaker or so on and so forth?
Yeah, well, you basically just read off the set list as it is. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of the Tokyo Jukebox stuff. Now we're in a time that there's no real massive touring going on. So the best way to get kind of mileage, so to speak, out of a record is to stagger the release of the record. So it came out, Tokyo Jukebox 3 came out in Japan about a month ago, and it's going to come out in the rest of the world in April. So it's going to have a second round of doing all the things that promote a record, and in this case, it's going to be streaming concerts and a new music video or two, and events and online collaborations and things like that. And you got to be creative now with the lack of touring. I'm a big tour guy. I like to tour on every record, but now we have to be a little bit more creative and make the streaming concerts something special. So this is Tokyo Jukebox time, so there's going to be a lot from all three of my Tokyo Jukebox records, but I'm also going to do stuff from Future Addict and Loudspeaker and a couple surprises in there, and just a lot that's going to make use of the unique atmosphere that the concert's going to take place in.
Wow, we look forward to hearing that. Everybody loves some good old deep cuts every now and then. You're always gonna have that one fan who asks you to play like the bonus track from like your least favorite album in the catalog. Maybe we'll finally get a chance to hear that.
I'm gonna be playing a bonus track off the Inferno album. That's about as deep as it gets.
Okay, fair enough. I think that meets the best of both worlds. Being such a prolific artist, like, do you find it, like, when it comes to, all the stuff you've done, whether it is your solo work or the stuff that you've done with Megadeth or Hawaii or, even Jet Red or anything like that, is it like maybe a different mind frame depending on the project that you're with? Or is there maybe like a usual method behind the madness that almost like applies to everything?
Well, I'll get to that, but how on earth did you ever know of Jet Red?
Just reading, and I am a fan of your work, so I just get lost in, the catalog of every artist that I'm a fan of.
Wow, I appreciate it. Jet Red, I haven't thought about that for decades, but I remember it very, very well, and I like the guys very much. And this was... I don't get a chance to talk about that because I haven't thought about it in years, and it was a very nice memory. It was a good, very old school. This was right when I was doing my first album, Dragon's Kiss. I remember it happened at the same time, and Jet Red was the type of band I wanted to join. It was a hard rock band with great vocals and good songs and a really good image and really good guys in the band, and they were up in Sacramento and I was down in San Francisco, and I was working on Dragon's Kiss at the time and working with them, and they got signed, and I had to choose because I just couldn't ride two horses with one ass, so to speak. And I went with doing more of my solo records and stuff, and it worked out. But I remember that was a really a good band with a lot of potential back then. But to get to your question, I do everything exactly the same. I've been very fortunate that I can pretty much chameleon into any situation that is put in front of me. And the same thought process that goes into a collaboration with another artist is what happens when I'm doing my own thing. It's just I sort of naturally adapt to it and contribute in as best as I can, and the thought process is pretty much the same everywhere.
Okay. When it comes to writing guitar solos, because I've always said that, guitar soloing is very much similar to like lead vocals in a way that, it conveys an emotion and it conveys like, a sense of imagery behind that melody and stuff. Is it easier to come up with like guitar solos when there's maybe like background music so you kind of like know what key to play in? Or did you sometimes have like a whole solo written and then maybe the rest of the music would write, around that?
They both happen. Obviously, the easiest thing as a lead guitar player is for someone to come up with me and say, hey, this track is done. It just needs a solo, bang something out over it. That's just like sinking in. That's like putting cheese on top of a pizza. It's all done. You just top it. It's very easy. At the same time, often when I'm writing, I hear a melody, and as soon as I hear a melody, I also hear the backing to it, how to extend it, how to make a fleshed out song out of it. So this just comes from doing it for a long time. But once I start writing something, it's a hellish long process to get something that I'm really satisfied with. But starting with, the beginning process is where I always hear a melody, just like a lead vocalist, and fleshing it out can take a little time or a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. And like, do you sometimes find it maybe easier when you're in the company of other musicians and that helps come up with some ideas? Or are you like an artist that kind of needs to be alone in isolation and kind of where there's nothing between you and your instrument? Do you find it maybe a little bit easier that way?
I like it better with other people, definitely, because I can bounce off of their ideas and I don't have to come up with everything. So I definitely prefer to work in a band context or collaboration. But over the years, I've definitely been able to adapt to doing things myself, especially for the last couple of records. And although it's very, very long and tedious, I wind up getting something that I'm very happy with. And especially on Tokyo Jukebox 3, it was done completely in the what do you call it, quarantine situation. It was just between my house and the recording studio, about 20 minutes away. So there was really not much interaction, especially at the creating point with other people. It's very lonely, and I don't like that part of it. I really like to collaborate with other people more, but I'm able to do it both ways.
Yeah, I'm also when you're working with other musicians, whether you realize it or not, it's just teaching you new things and opening your mind to new ideas and experiences, right?
Certainly, and I learn from everybody. Whatever they do, I try to at least steal something that they're doing that I haven't already done. So I love working with others.
When it comes to your live shows, kind of going back to, with this live stream, but, watching you at St. Vitus and everything, what I loved about the St. Vitus show is that I saw so much freedom on stage. There's some guitar players who are very technically impressive, but they're kind of static on stage and are kind of mainly focused on the fretboard and the strings, but you just get lost into the music, what I've noticed on stage. Is there maybe a similar energy into songwriting as when you're playing live, or do you feel that like playing live is almost a completely separate art that you have to master along with learning the guitar?
Really good question. I prefer playing live to everything else. And I definitely like the freedom of playing live, and I'm glad that you don't categorize me as a guy who's really into the instrument and paying attention to the fretboard and keeping it really stiff and not letting the other members shine and stuff like that. My whole thing is I want people to walk away thinking that my band is better than I am. They came to see me maybe, but they walked away saying, God, that band is just unbelievable. They outshined Marty at every turn. That's what I want. That's what I want to happen, and that's what I shoot for when I arrange the music for concerts, and that's the way we go. And I look at it like a basketball team. I would love to be the worst guy on the team and still be good myself, because that would mean my team is kicking ass. So that's kind of the spirit that goes into playing live.
Oh, that's a great analogy too, because like the spotlight is almost kind of like the ball. You kind of have to pass it. You can't hog it or anything like that.
Absolutely, and that's why I like to surround myself with people who just blow my mind, and I'm watching them play rather than being concerned with what I'm playing.
Yeah. Do you almost like have to practice stage presence or practice crowd interaction or something like that? Like, is that something that you have to practice, or is that just something that comes naturally as you play more and more?
It comes naturally of touring and stuff like that. I've been touring since I've been a teenager in all kinds of different capacities. But ever since I started touring on my solo music, which started around 2002 or so, But as a front man, for instrumental music, first of all, I was never a front man. I was always a guitar player. So never thought about interacting and having to talk. So when I started touring for it, it was very awkward, and we just got to playing the music and finished up, and I'm like finishing tours going like, well, what can I do? It's just awkward. I hate talking. I just want to play. And then the more I toured and the more of a strong band I assembled, I started to get more balls and to try to sort of, okay, well, I'm going to have to be a front man here. And frontmans kick ass, and I might be playing good, but like I'm talking like a friggin' idiot. And when I did my first live album, the Live in Europe record, that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. All the raps between songs just sucked. They were horrible. And I wound up editing most of them out. So if you listen to that live album, it's okay, but like there's like maybe a sentence of talk between the songs. It just really sucked, and that kind of lit a fire under my ass for the next couple of tours, and that was like around 2008. So once the loudspeaker tour was finished, and then I started touring on the next couple of records, I started really trying to get it out of my shell, and then the Inferno and Wall of Sound tour really got me a lot more confident. And I forgot which tour the St. Vitus show was on, probably Wall of Sound.
It was definitely early in the year.
I feel really comfortable talking, and you can hear that on the live album that we just released, the One Bad MF Live record. You can actually hear that I'm sort of kind of a semi-half-assed frontman, which is speaking a lot for me. I was very pleased with that. And you can't practice it. You just have to tour it and feel it. And sometimes you just say stupid shit. And because, you got a lot on your mind, and you're full adrenaline, and stupid shit can come out. And when it does, there's nothing to do with it, nothing to do about it, because it's already out.
And it's worse than botching a note on the guitar.
Yeah, guitar, a mistake on the guitar, not a whole lot of people notice, but if you start spouting off bullshit, people really notice it. And so I find that people are used to hearing my guitar playing, but not a lot of people on tour are used to hearing me talk, so they listen pretty closely to what I'm saying. And I don't really have a lot of social commentary to say. I want to get to the music. So it's taken a long time to get halfway decent where I'm not embarrassed. And that's where I'm at now. But to be honest with you, this is the biggest concern for this streaming live concert, because I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'm just going to let it flow. And I, being in Japan speaking, I'm going to do the live stream all in English. Mm-hmm. And doing it in Japan and speaking English in Japan is very, even right now talking to you, it's kind of awkward. I have to think in two ways in my brain, and my brain is not good at that. So I could very easily say some pretty crazy stuff during this live stream thing.
Now that's going to make people want to hear it more. I guarantee you.
I mean, think about it. Think about it. Every single person on the staff is Japanese. I'm in Japan, playing a bunch of Japanese songs mostly. And so suddenly I have to speak English to a bunch of staff people who not a single person speaks English. And I have to address the world in an English manner and have it make sense. So this for me is like the biggest challenge that hopefully I can pull off.
I think you'll do just fine, and I'm really excited to see you pull that off, because that sounds intimidating, but I think it's going to be definitely worthwhile to see. That's what I'm going to be focusing on the most now. I know it's mainly about the music and the LEDs, but that's going to be something I look out for.
I shouldn't have said it. Now you're going to focus on it.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. And I have one more question for you, but when it comes to a guitar player, I feel like when they have a signature sound and a signature style and a method, that they use to create art, I feel like, do you almost look at everything that you've done in your solos and your riffs, whether it's stuff off of Rust in Peace or Countdown to Extinction, or, stuff that you've done with Hawaii, like One Nation Underground, or any of your solo work, like, do you look at it almost as like a self-portrait or maybe like a reflection of yourself in a way?
Absolutely, yes. And that doesn't just go with past stuff. It goes with everything, whether I like it or not. I think any artist or any musician or anyone who creates something for other people to listen to, unknowingly, most of the time, is just basically letting that person peek into your life, really, your experiences. I mean, it's not just me. I think it's anybody. I really don't go back and listen to almost anything that I've done, because I'm going to wind up hearing it anyway, either on tour or just hear it, peripherally or anything like that. And when I'm creating anything, I've heard it so many times. By the time I've signed off on it and say, okay, this is done, that really, as long as I know that I'm happy with it, then I'm fine to let it out. And it's a definite snapshot of that period of time. It was the best I could do, folks. That was it. I tried my best. And if you still enjoy it, that's fantastic. It's definitely a snapshot, a yearbook type of thing, for sure.
Yeah, it's so cool when you're able to create something that's an extension of yourself that also happens to resonate with people. That's why I think artists, like people say, oh, I want to make art that, inspires the world or connects with people. Like, some people think that that's really like a kind of a shallow goal in a way. But I think really an artist just wants to create something to connect with people, because it goes to show that the artist is maybe not as alone as they thought they might be. Or I could have just overthought the hell out of it.
No, that's a very, very good observation. And at least in my case, I think it's just what I do. I think I would do the same exact thing whether anyone's listening or whether billions of people are listening. And, sometimes it's so incredibly frustrating with a lot of the technical behind the scenes things that you have to deal with. The non-playing aspects of making music are so incredibly frustrating that it really makes you want to give up sometimes. But then you think, okay, what would I do if I gave up? I mean, I'd be doing the same thing anyway. So it's just a moot point. So I think, speaking for myself and probably a lot of other people, we're just doing what we would do anyway. And it's kind of a way to peek in on what's going on in our brains and just what we do. I don't think anybody makes a career out of music when that's not what they would be doing anyway. Yeah. I don't think anybody was forced into making music, but they really don't want to do it. I think that's just what they would be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Every artist, no matter how much of a diva some people might be, every artist started off in the same place, and that was because they loved it. They were inspired, they picked it up, they felt a connection with it, and they enjoyed creating an experience. It's all circled back to that.
Sure.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed this discussion, and I really look forward to the live stream performance on New Year's Day. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote in terms of maybe some new music or some merch going on, or just anything else you would like to plug?
Yeah, just great talking to you, Alex. I hope you enjoy the live stream. I hope everybody checks it out. A lot of people, at least the fans who have been contacting me about play here, play there, play here, there, play there. Believe me, I want to play every single place, everywhere. And I know that I'm speaking for anyone in music, especially right now. So I think the closest thing I can do is put together this kind of show for everybody, everywhere. And this is really something that the people on my staff side here in Japan have gone crazy overboard, doing something that we can all be proud of. So hopefully everyone will enjoy it as much as we're enjoying doing it. And more importantly, hopefully everyone is just being as safe as they possibly can and doing what they can do, each individual doing what they can do to allow us to get back to going on tour again and getting back to somewhat normal. So everybody just be safe and healthy, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Well, we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Everybody, we are here with Marty Friedman. Be sure to check out Tokyo Jukebox 3. Be sure to catch their live stream performance coming New Year's Day of 2021. Start the year off on a great note. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.